All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us here today on Tainus Esther 2025. We're getting into Purim spirits over here. Today's shir should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavriel Tzvi, as well as Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, Dovid's grandfather who passed away this week, and L'Refuah Shalema Bekarov, Meshalem ben Sarah Rachel, and L'Refuah Shalema Miriam Bas Sarah. We are on page 74 in the Art Scroll for those who are following along. We're going to finish off on the last two of the 7 criteria that only Hashem possesses. In order for us to have full trust in Hashem, we need to understand these things. And I keep using this word, we have to internalize that. We can't just listen, get onto a shir, and say, oh, we did our part for the day. We have to truly start living and believing, and really, like I say, the word internalizing that. Now, V'ashishi, and the 6th quality for one who wishes to acquire Bitachon, to focus on, is as follows. And this one is Hashem's boundless kindness even to the undeserving. And we spoke about this, that Hashem is kind and loving to every single person on this earth, even for those who don't deserve it. And he talks about even people who are balaveros, people who slap Hashem in the face, and Hashem still is unbiased and still shows them kindness in many instances. And so he says like this, Sheyeder Rav Tova Lekim ala Adam. He should take heed of how much goodness Hashem bestowed upon mankind. He should start noticing how much good he has. One must think about how Hashem began providing him with so much kindness and goodness from the very beginning of his existence. An example, when he was still a fetus, when he was born, then his mother, he was born and he was raised and he got through life that way. And on that, I just want to tell you, I picked up a book recently. It's called Say Thank You Hashem and See Miracles. And it's a book of 190 true stories of people who they just absorbed and they took upon themselves whatever kind of difficulties they were having in their life, and their lives have changed. Now, I want you to understand that these stories and the idea of thank you Hashem and see miracles doesn't mean that you thank Hashem and then all of a sudden things are going to change for you for the better. What it means is this, the sixth criteria is that when we start thanking Hashem for the things that we have, we start opening our mind and thinking back to everything that we have, we start realizing all the good that Hashem has already given us. And that's the concept, is that when you start thanking Hashem, you'll see miracles, means you start seeing the miracles that Hashem has already given you. Because now it's years later and we've already lived through so much of life, gone through so much in our days, and we start realizing that. And that's the hashisha. The 6th criteria is understanding that Hashem already gave us so much before, and that He will continue to do that for us. Without his being worthy of it, by having done something to earn it. And without Hashem having had any need for him. And this goes to say that Hashem really doesn't have a need for human beings to be on this earth. He puts us on here for a purpose, for our own well-being. For Hashem himself, he doesn't need us. And that's what Chavos Avos is not just alluding to, he's stating that. And he brings that out from when he spoke about, and Shaar Habitachon is one of the 10 gates of trust. And there's another one called Shaar Bechina. Shaar Bechina, he talks about how we examine life as a whole. And over there he talks more elaborately about that. But he says over there, rather it was a pure gift that we're here. And it's a favor and a kindness from Hashem. As he explained in Shaar Habitachon, which is another Shaar. And also David HaMelech says in the pasuk, Rabbis asisa ata Hashem elokei nifloisecha machshvasecha eleinu. You much have you done. You Hashem, my God, your wonders and your thoughts are for us. He's saying over there in Tehillim, David HaMelech says, you've done so much for us. All these miracles, all this kindness, all this goodness was just done for us. Why? He says, none can compare to you, should I relate or speak of your wonders. They are too overwhelming to recount. And you see from this that Hashem was so kind to every single person. Without us, not only we're not worthy of it, Hashem doesn't need us to begin with. We'll go into it later as to why we're here. It's a whole different subject. But on the brass tacks of it, Hashem is giving us everything out of goodness, out of kindness, out of love. That's the sixth one. The seventh and final one is how Hashem manages a person's life from the beginning of his existence all the way to the end when a person dies. He says, Vashavi, the seventh and final quality of a person seeking to gain bitachon is to pay attention to as follows. Is this it should become clear to him that all the phenomena in this world, whether they are beings that exist inherently or events that occur incidentally, have defined limit. What's this inherently and incidentally? We have to start realizing, and this is actually dovetailing us into the next part of Perek Gimel, which is going to be cause and effect. But we have to start realizing that everything is done with a calculation by Hashem. That nothing can be added or subtracted from what Hashem already decreed. In quantity, quality, time, and place, no one can increase what he has already decreed, and he can decrease what Hashem decreed that he shouldn't have. Hashem, you have to start understanding this. We have to drive this home, that the seventh quality is a very, very important one to understand. We have to start realizing that Hashem is the one who does every single thing. And everything is done with a calculation. And we spoke about this many, many times. There's something called B'derech HaTeva, and that's how Hashem runs the world. But B'derech HaTeva is not just let go and let it be free. B'derech HaTeva is actually something that is the way Hashem runs the world. Because that's the calculation that he uses. He just throws it in there in a kind of inconspicuous way. No one can postpone what he has decreed to make it happen earlier or make it or to speed things up. And anything that occurs in a way that seems to run counter to this principle, an example, occurrence that you think says, oh, it was because of this and this person, that's why it happened. You have to start understanding, you have to start believing, you have to start internalizing that was Hashem setting it up for years and years and years and years. And that's how he finishes off the seventh quality. He also talks about over here for a second, at the end, he says, it's just very apropos that it winds up being today that we learned this piece. I did not plan it out this way. He talks about Purim, that Purim is a story, and we spoke about this last week in Dvar Torah before Shabbos, that Purim was a story of consequential things that just happened throughout a course of, it says, over 9 years. Right? From when Achashverosh killed Vashti, through that whole process until we had the whole thing of Purim, those were all things that happened b'derech HaTeva. That was Hashem lining it up. We saw it as b'derech HaTeva, we saw it as news, something happened, but in reality that was Hashem's calculation. That was Hashem how he puts it out. And Hashem is a really deep thinker. He is in there for the long run. Like he has things planned from Sheish Shemei Bereshis that are going to play out in years from now. And that's how he does life. And that's what's going to bring us into what we're going to start Be'ezrat Hashem next week, is we're going to start talking about cause and effect and about understanding how the world works with cause and effect. And that's what Hashem's way of running the world and giving to us kindness. And sometimes that means normal things happen that might not seem fun or good or even great for us, and that's why they're there, is because it's part of cause and effect. Now, really, really quickly, I saw a great Dvar Torah for this week. We're going into Purim tonight, Be'ezrat Hashem. And I saw something that talks about true happiness. We have a song which says, La Yehuda Ma'isa Oyer V'Simcha V'Sasa Vikar. And it says over there in the Gemara Megillah, it says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Oira Zu Torah. The word Oira is Torah. Simcha Zu Yontiv, that's the Yontiv. Sasan Zu Mila, that's the Mila that we have. V'Yikar is Tefillin. So he says, why is it that he had to write it out that way? Why couldn't he just write out? He said, why do you have to write light is Torah, gladness refers to Yom Tovim, joy refers to a Bris Milah, honor refers to Tefillin? Why couldn't you just say, straight out, just say Torah, Tefillin, Yontiv, Bris Milah? Why does he have to be so cryptic about it? So he answers that after the Yidden experienced the Nes of Purim, after they had attained such clarity and felt such feelings of love and affection, after they thought they were abandoned, right? Because for a moment we thought it was all over. We thought the Jews were going to be annihilated off the face of this earth. But after we realized that, when we all came together and we realized that it was a nace, and they had this overwhelming love, they realized that Hashem was carrying them the entire time. They came to a whole new perspective, and they came to recognize that everything in this world that we do is for Hashem's glory. And the only way to come and feel true light on this world is through Torah. And the only way to feel true simcha is through Yontif. And the only way to really rejoice in our life and to rejoice with Hashem is through Bismillah. And the only way we really are the princes that we are is because we have tefillin. If you would just spell it out that this is what we have tefillin, we have Yontif, we have Bismillah, we have these things, we wouldn't understand the concept. The reason he wrote it so cryptic is to understand that the whole reason that we have light is because of the Torah. The whole reason that we have all these different things is because of Yontif, because of these different things. It's because of the greatness that Hashem gives us and we give back to Him. That our whole existence here is so that Hashem can give us and we can give back to Him. That's the beauty. And when we sing that song to this year, you'll understand so much better. La Yehuda Ma'isa'ar v'simcha v'sasam v'kar. And that's what we learn from this beautiful little piece. Thank you everyone for joining us here today. Have a beautiful, happy, drunken Purim, and I love you all. Adela Yada.